بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. أسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يجعل نياتنا خالصة لوجهه الكريم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Imam Boomba up in the house. MashaAllah. Inshallah, tonight I wanted to do a segment of scattered thoughts, which is where I have the opportunity to express things that are on my mind, things that I think about, without being in a structured form of teaching. As you know, we usually do, we teach from books. So when you're teaching from a book or you're teaching a specific subject, you're kind of stuck within the framework of the text that you're teaching. With the scattered thoughts, it gives me the opportunity to freely discuss issues that I deem important or need information. So as we're coming upon a discussion coming Monday, coming this Tuesday on the Black Imams Roundtable. Can you put the flyer up if possible? Inshallah. I wanted Pittsburgh up in the house. I wanted to address the issue of why do we differ in Aqidah. And I think that's an important issue because, can we make the other one small? Oh, no, that's good. Leave it there. That's fine. Yeah, that's good. Barakallahu fiki. See, even when we lose and Imam Fahim is acting a fool, I can just laugh and have some fun because it's scattered thoughts. There's no rules. I can just be relaxed. So the title of it, and this is going to be a series of discussions, minimum 3, because that we have to discuss many different issues. So at a minimum, there's going to be 3 parts to this science of Aqidah, an honest approach. And I want to start with my thoughts on the subject. And all the other imams are welcome. They have their own platforms. You know, you can talk about it if you like. They're doing it anyway in different ways. So I figured I'd put my 2 cents in it. Right? Allah. And primarily this discussion in our time boils down to basically 2 segments of people who claim to be Muslim. And I'm going to deal with all of these different issues in a summarized way by which we're going to deal with them on the Black Imams Roundtable. But I want to summarize some things because on the table, we're not going to get to speak but so much. So I want to set at least a framework for my side of the discussion. Basically, when we're talking about this discussion in Aqidah, we're really talking about the difference and disagreement between the Ash'aris and the Maturidis and the Wahhabi Salafis. That's really what we're talking about. We're not talking about Shia. We're not talking about the Nation of Islam. We're not talking about the Qadiani. We're not talking about various other so-called Islamic groups, right? Al-Firaq al-Islamiyya, different Islamic sects. We're not talking about them. We're basically talking about our discussion is really Ash'ariyya and Maturidiyya, which we call Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, and the Salafi Wahhabi movement, whom they call themselves Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. That's the discussion. So if we're going to be honest, let's stop trying to be disingenuous by acting like it's more than it is. We're talking about a section of Sunni Muslims who believe they're the right Sunni Muslims, and another section of people who claim to be Sunni and say they're the right. So let's just have let's be clear about the discussion. And one of the reasons why you can't solve the problem is because often we're not honest about the problem, right? If you want to solve an issue, you got to approach the issue truthfully. So let's not, fog up the issue. No, this is the issue. And I'm going to be explicit so that we get it clear. The Ash'aris and Maturidis, who call themselves Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, Sunni Muslims, and their belief is totally different from the belief of the Wahhabi Salafiyya. And the Wahhabi Salafiyya don't accept them. So let's get that clear. The idea that we're going to have a big party with Ash'aris and Maturidis and Salafis and Wahhabis is never going to happen. Period. It's not going to happen. So whoever wants in their mind that think we're going to have a Rodney King approach to Aqidah, it's not going to happen. It's Fantasy Island. It's not real. Why? Because they believe totally different things. Now the question becomes, for us as people who are confronted with these ideas, to figure out which one is right. That's our job. And every individual has to figure that out. No one can do it for them. So every single one of us has to determine what is the right belief and creed in Islam. Do you understand my point? Is this point clear? So we can talk. We can go back and forth. This is not like the Fajr Reflections. This is a dialogue between us. So everyone, you can jump in whenever you feel. I may say, hold up, let me finish this point, but we can dialogue because I want to make sure everyone's following me. Is what I said up to this point something that we all can basically understand and agree with? That's a question to y'all. We're talking now. It's clear. So you're confronted. So you mean everyone is right? Malika, absolutely not. I don't agree with that. Absolutely not. No, I don't mean that. So if you, then Malika, my sister, everyone's not right. Somebody's wrong. You cannot be all right. Somebody's wrong. What I'm saying is our job as individuals to figure out what is right, right? Somebody's wrong. You cannot have opposites and they're all right. I'll give you one example. So to make it clear. So we make it clear. I'm gonna just give you one point so we don't be all over the place. The Ash'aris and Maturidis is their belief. You can take her down, take her comment down, right? They believe that Allah exists without a place, right? Or direction, right? That's the belief of all the Ash'aris and all the and Maturidis. So when we say Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, Ash'ariyah wal Maturidiyah, that is their belief. Allah exists without a place or a location, a direction, right? So that's the Ash'ari belief, right? And what I'm going to do is something that most of you probably haven't seen people do. I want you to understand and then make an intelligent decision, right? I'm Ash'ari and Maturidi. So whenever I follow the schools of Ash'ari and Maturidi, meaning in Ahl Sunnah, I'm Ash'ari by madhab, but I'm aware of the belief of the Maturidi because in our Sunni tradition, when you say Ash'ari, Maturidi is the same thing, except in a few detailed issues. So when you say Ash'ari, you might as well say Maturidi. You say Maturidi, you might as well say Ash'ari. That's Ahl Sunnah, right? So my belief, obviously, is that Allah exists without a place or direction. I'm giving one case, so we don't be all over the place. So stick with just one case. And I can build from this case every other issue. So when I say case, I mean mas'ala, one religious conviction, right? So that is Imam Amin speaking, right? I'm Ash'ari in creed, meaning I follow the methodology of Imam Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari and all the great scholars who follow that way. Our belief is Allah exists without a place or a direction, right? That's our belief. Among different beliefs, that's one of them, about Allah, right? Second, now that's the Ash'ari belief. The Wahhabi Salafi belief, I'm not among them, but I know their belief and I have all their books. So it's not, you don't got to listen to me. I can show you book after book after book so you can see the difference. They say in their belief, this is what they say. Whether I agree with it or not, that's not the issue here. This is what they say. They say that Allah is above his throne in heaven, above the heavens. So now among them, you may have different ideologies where they describe things, but the general belief of them is that Allah is above his throne, and they may add to that in a manner that befits him, his majesty. So they say that, that's what they believe. And they believe that's the direction of Allah above, right? So clearly, these are two opposite beliefs that cannot be joined. You cannot join them. They're not the same. The Ash'aris and Maturidis say whoever attributes to Allah a place or a direction, among them, among the Ash'ariyah and Maturidis, are those who say this is kufr, this is disbelief. And among them are those who didn't go to that level. They'll say this is an ugly innovation that's not permissible to believe. But the people who say that, they have some misunderstanding that leads them to that. And because of that misunderstanding, we don't judge them as kuffar. We just say they're innovators. That is the different positions among the scholars of Ahl Sunnah. Now here's an extreme. An extreme is to think that every single Sunni is going to judge it the same way. That's not the case. So in general, they reject that belief. The issue of consider it disbelief or just innovation is another discussion. But all of them, all of the Ash'ariyah, all of the Maturidiyah reject that belief and say it's not permissible to believe that. Is that clear? I'm talking to you, so I make sure you're following me, right? This ain't a discussion of Dalil. That's another discussion. I just want you to understand the case. The case is all I'm concentrating on right now. So you don't need to defend your creed. You can defend the creed later. Let's just talk about the issue, right? Let's clear the issue up. I don't want to talk about who's right and who's wrong between us at this point. I already told you my position. I'm Ash'ari, so you know my position, right? And if it was a Salafi person having the same discussion, you know his position, right? So that's all we're talking about right now. That's all we're talking about. So, Kellen, I don't need all your proofs. I just need the conclusion of your proof, right? Or their proofs. I'm not saying that's you, right? So let's get that part, because we like to go all over the place. Let's get the issue clear. Kellen, let me ask you a question, because as you're pointing this hadith and you're pointing this verse, that's a whole nother discussion, right? Right? That wasn't you, excuse me. I'm sorry, I mixed you, right? I want you to understand the case. Do you understand what I'm mentioning? I'm not talking about the dalils and proofs of each belief. I'm talking about the belief itself. Do we understand what I'm talking about? If that's not clear, then that's where we're having a discussion. The proofs we can talk about later. For right now, we want to clear the issue. So it's clear. Tayyib. So we don't got to go into all that. Malika, you're going into details. I'm not talking about proofs. I just want you to understand the belief. That's it. Now, if I'm talking about a belief that's not understand, then we can't have a conversation. If you don't understand the case, we're not going to have we're going to be talking about something we don't understand. The issue is clear. The Salafi Wahhabis believe that Allah is above his throne. And if you want to add their what's that disclaimer, in a way that befits his majesty, whatever. That's what they say. I didn't make it up. That's in their books. That's what they put in their books. That's what their scholars say. The Ash'ari, Maturidiyya say, no, Allah exists without a place and a direction, and it's not permissible to attribute that to Allah. Is these two issues clear? So for everyone, is these issues clear? And I don't want you to go all over the place. We're going to discuss that. You're going to have plenty of time. Talk about the hadith of the slave girl, the verse of al-istiwa. We got all time to talk about that. But I do want you to understand the issue. Is that an issue? Is that clear for everyone? Now, with each issue, so it is impossible, if it's clear to you, that both of them could be right. Anyone with a sound mind would know that they both can't be right. Would we agree to that? Both of them cannot be right. Will we agree to that? That's a question. Clear all the way from Philly. So, since we would agree that both of them cannot be right, that means we have the obligation to figure out which one is right. That's it. That's the discussion. Okay, Colin, I want to know, because I'm not the smartest man in the planet, so you have to type. Unfortunately, you don't have the access to bring you on, right, to talk. So you can write. How can they both? Oh, you said can't be right. Okay, because you said can and you fix it. All right, good. So I gotta say, I know I'm not insane here, right? So like, I might be Ash'ari, but I'm not insane, right? Right? So since we understand that, then as Muslims, we're obligated to have the correct belief. We do agree with that. We're obligated to have the correct belief in Islam. So we have to know what we believe. And that's going to be something we have to decide. So this issue of let's not talk about Aqidah, and we're confronted with two extreme opposites that cannot be considered right unless someone makes the worst claim in the world and says the Muslims don't know what to believe about Allah. Oof. And that's a worse claim, right? And so that's the worst claim. Someone makes a claim that the Muslims don't know what to believe about Allah. And that's a worse claim. We cannot make such a claim. So that means one is right, one is wrong. Right? One is right and one is wrong. And we talk about in that issue. We can talk about other issues. We talk about in that issue. You cannot combine the issue. So as you say that we shouldn't talk about Aqidah, that means, translation, we should remain confused. No, we shouldn't remain confused. We have an obligation to figure it out, right? Now, once that's in one issue, right? We just talked about the belief about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Is a core belief. Now you'll understand why we differ, right? Because we believe different things. We don't believe the same. That's why there's a difference, right? We don't believe the same things. So the idea of we're all Muslim, such a claim as to negate these realistic differences doesn't work, right? That doesn't work. We all Muslim, we just Muslim, don't worry about it. No. We got to know what to believe. We have to know what to believe. It's important. Why? Because the first foundation of our religion, according to the Wahhabis and the Salafis, according to the Ash'aris and the Maturidis, is to have the correct belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's why you have the natural disagreement. Because they believe if you don't have the correct belief, you are misguided. Al-Sunnah, the Ash'ari and Maturidi say the same thing, right? If you don't have the correct belief, you are misguided. Now, our job is to know what that correct belief is, right? So now it's not an argument. It's a discussion that we all need to have so that we can determine what is the correct belief that we are obligated to have. I'm just laying out a foundation. With that said, it's a talk between us. What I mentioned so far, does anyone disagree with that foundation? That this is a reality that we're faced with. And that just gives you a chance to talk and give you your input. This is the foundation that is clear, it should be, but if it's something that someone says, no, that's not true, what is missing that's not true? We're talking to each other, right? Brothers and sisters, because we all in the same, we gotta learn the right belief. Tell you. All right. Now, your object is to figure out what is right. That's your job, right? So now we would have to move to another thing. And remember, I'm only laying a foundation to why we're having a discussion, because there is this understanding that we shouldn't talk about Aqidah. This is not advanced Aqidah. This is not advanced Aqidah. This is the foundations of our belief. Either Allah exists without a place in a direction, right? Or he does not. One or is wrong. We can't have it both ways. So our objective is to decide what is right, right? Obviously, you know my position. So we're not talking about that, right? I keep reiterating that because I understand we got extremists on both sides. We got the extremist side that says it's just my way and I don't want to hear nothing else. Good luck with that. Because people are going to have different beliefs, and you have to be able to handle all of those different beliefs and express the true belief. If you think everyone's just going to believe what you believe and that's it, I don't know what planet you're living on. So you want to deal with different beliefs, not just Salafis. You're going to deal with Christians, Jews, atheists, fire worshippers, all kinds of different beliefs. And you have to be able to understand and explain the truth. That's your job. And the method of doing that's going to differ depending who you're dealing with and how you confront it. So this is something that you must know. And you can't be ignorant of this. It is not permissible, right? Which every group among them says it. So everyone's claiming Muslim, so there is methodologies. Now, as Muslims, how are we going to determine what is right, what is wrong? As Muslims, that's a question. As Muslims, how do we determine the right belief from the wrong belief? Question. I'm engaging y'all. I'm confused, but go ahead. That's a question. How do we determine the right belief and the wrong belief as Muslims? Nope, not mental based, not logic based. I don't know if you're saying it's not logic. No, it's not mental based. Reality. It's not logic. It's not logic. It's reality. It's reality. You're not being tricked. That's a question. When we want to decide what is the belief, how do we determine it as Muslims? Muhammad, you added too much. No, that's not the basis how we learn belief. I'm unbelievable. Who am I talking to? Seriously? How do we determine Islamic belief? Not by consensus. Who told you that? That's after the fact. That's after the fact. How do we determine Islamic belief? I'm unbelievable. Okay, good. Right. We go to the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Consensus comes after that. Consensus doesn't take precedence over the Quran and the Sunnah. Consensus comes after the understanding of Quran and Sunnah and the agreement of the top-ranking scholars. It doesn't precede the Quran and the Sunnah. So this is important that we understand that. So everyone, when we want to learn our Aqidah and the proper belief in Allah, is going to come from the Quran and the Sunnah, right? Can we agree on that? Right? The Quran and the Sunnah. So the Quran and the Sunnah are the primary sources by which we learn our religion. In every matter. That's the primary source. An evidence from the Quran or an evidence from the Sunnah. So no one disagrees with that. I'm helping you, right? Because I think what we do, I don't want us to just join groups, right? None of us. We just join a group and then we become lazy and we don't learn and then whatever they say. But what if they're mistaken, right? What if they're mistaken? No, we have to learn our religion, right? And that way, right? So the Quran and the Sunnah, everyone's going to agree with that. So for the belief of the Ash'aris and the Maturidis, the evidence for their belief that Allah exists without a place or a direction is based on verses from the Quran and hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You follow? And the reason why the Wahhabis and the Salafis say that Allah is above his throne in a manner that befits His Majesty is based on verses of the Quran and hadith of the Prophet. Do we understand step 2? I'm going to walk you right through this. So everyone, according to them, is following Quran and Sunnah, right? Would we agree? Come on, engage me. This is important. We need to get out of the habit or letting somebody just tell us how to think and we not thinking ourselves. We need to use our minds. Do you know the dominant position among the groups is that, excuse me, the dominant position among the groups is that in Aqidah, you cannot follow others. You need to know it yourself. That's the dominant position. At-taqleed fil Aqidah la yajuz. That's the dominant position, right? You have to know, at least in a basic way, your own belief. And there are some scholars who said it is valid if you would remain sound on the belief. If the person you follow left the belief, you would still remain firm. It is valid in that way. And in reality, that is saying you understand it enough to be steadfast. So it's agreed upon. So everyone's reading the Quran and the Sunnah, and everyone is quoting verses from the Quran and hadith from the Prophet to substantiate opposing beliefs and convictions in this issue. Is that clear? So that's step 2. Now, with step 2 being clear, guys, it's crazy. So yeah, with that being clear, I want to understand something to you. You have narrating a text and understanding a text. Or let's say the narration of a text and the explanation of a text, right? So in other words, you're going to quote verses of the Quran, you're going to quote a hadith of the Prophet, and we're going to quote the same hadith and the same verses. So the problem is not the Quran and the Sunnah, right? Let's get that clear. No one is denying the Quran or the Sunnah. No one denies that. So what is the issue? How did we read in the Quran together? We're reading the Sunnah and we still got different beliefs. How does that happen? It is the explanation and understanding of the Quran and the Sunnah. Do you understand that? So that's where the difference is going to come. Not the Quran and the Sunnah, not the hadith of the Prophet, not the verses of the Quran, is how you understand those verses and those hadith. That's where you're going to get the difference. You follow? So once we got that point, now we're going to try to determine what is the correct understanding and why. Now, if you move to that issue, there's where you're going to have ijma. No. The problem is not just in English. You have the same thing in Arabic. Don't think it's English only. The same issue, and that's what a lot of people thinking. I tell the brothers, I remember this young kid, he was Wahhabi, and he used to tell me, you're tricking us with Arabic. I said, huh? When I go overseas and study, I'm going to come back and I'm going to refute you. I said, all you're going to do is say the same thing you're saying in English and Arabic. You're going to say the same stuff. You're just going to learn how to say that incorrect belief in Arabic. It's the same stuff. It's not going to change, except that you're saying the same thing in Arabic. So the problem ain't just if I learn Arabic, it's solved. That's a delusion. You have to learn the correct creed, not just the Arabic language. There are more Wahhabis who speak Arabic than they speak English. Trust me, around the world. And they still have a bad belief. I'm speaking from my Ash'ari side, right? And guess what? The Salafi Wahhabi person would say the same thing about the Ash'ari or Maturidiyya. So the issue is, now we want to get to the understanding of the text. Do we got all these steps clear? So we can find the reason why we need to have the discussion. Would you disagree from this, as I laid out, the cause of the differences is to show us why we got to discuss the differences. Is that clear? Because, Imam Fahim, I'm not like you, my brother. I think scattered but organized. How you like those apples? No, that's my man, boom bop. No, it's a scattered thought, but my scattered thoughts are organized because I think about them. Even though they're all over the place, I think about what I'm talking about. Because I'm thinking about how I'm going to help my people who are suffering with this issue. How I'm going to help you. I got to explain. I have to make it clear to you. Because there's some of us who say, let's not just discuss the issue. So leave us to have us to be like, we don't know what to believe. And that just doesn't work, right? Now, okay, let me go back. So is these points clear? Because Jermaine had Jeremiah. I don't know why I keep calling you Jermaine Habibi. Jeremiah, he said something up top that I hope I didn't leave it. I can find it. Where's it at? Where's your last statement? Let me find it. The first statement you made, it was like a question statement. And it relates to this. Where's it at? Gone, gone, gone. I hate that. Gone. Do you remember that question you made, Jeremiah? Where did you put that first question you put up, or statement you made? It's gone. Okay, you asked me about the Ash'ari and Maturidi. Remember you said, is it incumbent upon everyone to be Ash'ari or Maturidi? That was your question, right? Forget the name Ash'ari Maturidi, right? Take it out. We're talking about having the correct belief, right? Follow. We're talking about having the correct belief. So the answer to your question is, it's obligatory to have the correct belief. Is it obligatory to say I'm Ash'ari or Maturidi? No. It's obligatory to have the correct belief. And the correct belief, as we as Ahl Sunnah say, is the belief of the Ash'aris and the Maturidis, right? Whether you call yourself Ash'ari or Maturidi or not, if you have the sound belief, that belief is what is important. If you say, I got the sound belief, but I don't want to call myself Ash'ari, it's valid. But that belief you have is the belief of the Ash'aris and the Maturidis, right? If you believe a bad belief, you can call it whatever you want. Just don't call it Islam. Do you understand my point? So what is obligatory is not the name, it is the correct belief. And that correct belief has become known by a methodology of scholars. Is that clear? Because this is what people are telling people. Oh, it's not necessary to follow a madhab. It's not. You don't have to say you Shafi. You don't have to say you Maliki. You don't have to say you Hanbali. You have to follow the rules correctly. And if you follow the rules correctly, no matter what you call yourself, long as the rules are valid. But the way to know the valid rules is through these madhahib. Do you understand? Is that clear, Jeremiah? So the only way we're going to explain the correct belief is we got to give you the understanding, right? We can't say, okay, well, since I'm not Ash'ari and Maturidi, it don't matter what I believe. La, you have to have the correct belief. You have to know what to believe. It's obligatory. It's an obligation. And madhahib schools are designed to what? And make that easy for you. Facilitate that. You can't just say I'm Ash'ari, but I believe beliefs of Salafis. That doesn't work, right? So the name is not the important issue. It is the correct belief that is the important issue. And the name is a way of identifying that. Is this clear? I mean, we're talking. So don't think this is your chance to really have a conversation, right? But I want to have a conversation so we know the value of our conversation. Then we can go into details, right? And once we can go into details, once we know what we're talking about. But if we just go into, if we're not going to understand what we're talking about, the discussion always going to turn into an argument, right? Because we don't know what we're talking about. We have no idea what we're talking about. So what I'm saying, let's make sure we understand what we're talking about. Then once we understand what we're talking about, we can build. That's all I'm trying to get across here right now. Because we're going to be on we're going to be on a round table, and we're going to have this discussion. This is basic Islamic faith. It has nothing to do with advanced theology. Do you understand that? It has nothing to do with ilm al-kalam or advanced theology. We're talking about basic Islamic belief that every morally responsible individual must know. It should, if the name is befitting, but I don't use that scale, right? Neither one. It's not fair. Because if you say, for instance, if one says, I'm Ash'ari, there are some people who say I'm Ash'ari, when you examine their belief, it's not consistent with the belief of the Ash'ari, of the Ash'aris. There are some people who say I'm Salafi. If you listen to what they say, it's not consistent with the Salafi belief. But they say they're Salafi. The Salafis don't believe that as a way of a methodology. They don't believe that. Because some people put things on them that they don't believe in. That's unjust. I had a Salafi tell me, a Salafi sheikh, Imam, big Imam. He told me the Ash'aris only believe in 13 attributes. I remember him telling me this. I said, what Ash'ari are you talking about? Where did you hear that at? By the agreement, if the Ash'ari said that there's only 13 attributes for Allah, that's kufr. By the Ash'aris, what are you talking about? Because he didn't know what the Ash'aris believe. And he talked to an Ash'ari who didn't know what the Ash'aris believe either. Do you understand my point? So just attributing a name to someone, that doesn't work. You know? What is the belief of that person? And that's how you weigh things. So we're clear. Now, when we talk about this, I only have 15 minutes, so shoot your questions. I'm going to open up for what we talked about. I think I laid foundations, and I'm going to open it up for your questions because I have 15 minutes. I'm really over the time that I've spent, but it's my scattered thoughts, so we're going to go into those details. Now, I'm telling you, our belief, and speaking from my side, and the side of the Ash'aris and the Maturidis, I'm not a Salafi, I'm not a Wahhabi, right? We believe the Salafis and Wahhabis are wrong in their Aqidah, and it's not permissible to believe what they believe. So to us, anyone who believes that Allah is in heaven or Allah is in a direction has a bad, corrupt belief that is not permissible to believe. Our belief is that Allah exists without a place or a direction. Is that clear? So there's no distinction about that. So now when you see me say, I don't accept it. That's why. That's one of the reasons why. There are more, but that's one of them. And that's one that you don't got to go through. So they don't take you all over the place. Because if they cleaned everything up and kept that belief, it would still be the same result. Is this clear? We can't get by that. That is not something that is acceptable. And there are other things that are not acceptable, right? So your question, what don't the Salafis believe in? The other one you put up there, Habibi, my brother, was what's wrong with the Salafi, meaning belief. Stop making it personal, right? It doesn't matter about the person. Not me, I don't count. Your favorite homeboy don't count. Your sister don't count. We're talking about the belief. Let's be grown here. A lot of times we don't listen because we're the victim, right? Or we're the one that's being talked about. So we take it personal, right? Don't take it personal. We're talking about the belief. The belief was here before you. Before you accepted it, someone brought that belief. We're examining the conviction. So what is wrong with the Salafi belief? Among many things, one of them is that it describes a place and a direction to Allah, and that's not permissible according to the Quran and the Sunnah and the consensus, and that's when we're talking about the evidences. You're asking me for a conclusion, right? So I'm giving you the conclusion. But if you want to ask how did we get to that conclusion, then we're going to discuss evidences, and that's going to be discussed on the Black Imams Roundtable. Right? So I gave you the conclusion. Allah exists without a place or a direction. That's the end result. To believe that Allah is in a direction is unlawful, not permissible to believe for any Muslim. It's an invalid belief. That's the conclusion. Now, you're going to ask how you got to that? That's another discussion. And why do they believe that? That's another discussion. And what is the evidence is related to that? That's another discussion. But you have to figure out one or the other. Right? Tell you. All right. Now let me take your questions. Oh, good question. So you believe Allah is everywhere. I didn't say that. So that's why I'm talking about understanding. I explicitly said what I believe, right? And I said the Ash'aris, don't just say me, right? Because that is my belief. My belief is the belief of the Ash'aris and the Maturidis, right? That's my belief. And what did I say their belief was in that issue? I said it. I didn't say Allah is everywhere. No one said that. The Salafi didn't say it, and nor did the Ash'aris. So where did you come up with that? I mean, this is a serious question. I want us to think, right? You didn't answer the question. I told you Allah exists without a place. Let me write it in big letters for you, right? To help. Not big letters, because you may say I'm being sarcastic, right? I want us to help each other in listening. That's clear. That is the belief of the Ash'aris and the Maturidis, and that is the belief that I hold. Allah exists without a place or direction. Now, I didn't say Allah is everywhere, and I didn't say Allah is in heaven. Just as it's not permissible to believe Allah is in heaven, it is not permissible to believe Allah is everywhere. Places and directions don't apply to Allah. Is that clear? Is it clear? I'm saying that you understand me. Whether you agree or not, you should agree, but even if you didn't, is it clear what I'm saying? That was to my brother who asked that question. Because I didn't say Allah was everywhere. We don't believe that. That's unlawful just to believe Allah is everywhere or to believe He's in heaven. It's both impermissible. Allah exists without a place. Tell you. It's extremely important okay, good question. And you're asking a question so you can learn. I don't want you not to ask questions so you don't know. So you want to know what is the proper belief. You have no idea of knowing, especially when you live around people who keep telling you bad belief. So the question, that was a question. So if Allah exists without a place or direction, where is Allah? If Allah exists without a place or a direction, the term where and asking for a place and direction does not apply to Allah or his attributes. Do you follow? So the term where is not applicable to Allah when we're asking about direction and place, because they are not attributed to Allah. So if you use the term where in relation to Allah, it has another meaning in the language when it applies to Allah. But that's a detailed discussion, because I know you have a hadith in your mind. Ain't Allah, where is Allah? So that's a discussion, right? I'm aware of all the proofs. So when I'm discussing is I'm framing the conversation so that we understand why we need the conversation. I'm not going to the proofs only, because if you don't understand the conversation, you're going to easily be confused. I want to clear that confusion first. And guess what? Just as a disclaimer for others, I'm talking to my people primarily. I'm talking about the people who are confronted with this issue and confused, that others seem not to give a crap about. I'm being honest. They just leave us in our stuff. Excuse the harsh terms. I'm talking to people who others won't teach them. Let them drown. It don't matter. Seriously. I'm talking to my people. So I know how to talk to my people. I understand the problem why my people are stuck in this stuff. And I'm going to help them get out, inshallah, to the best of my ability. So, is that clear? Whenever you ask where, you're asking about place, location, direction. And all of that is not befitting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it cannot be attributed to him. So we don't ask about location and place, because that doesn't apply to Allah. So when we say Allah exists without a place, that means you want me to give you a proof quickly, just to calm you down? You read Sahih Bukhari, right? Sahih Bukhari, in Bukhari, Imam al-Bukhari mentioned the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When someone came to the Prophet, they asked him about the beginning of this matter, right? And the Prophet answered them, كَانَ اللَّهُ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ شَيْءٌ غَيْرُهُ. Allah existed and there was nothing else. I want you to think about this hadith. Allah existed fil azal, eternally, before there was any creation. And there was nothing else. No throne, no heavens, no angels, no humans, no plants, no animals, no air, no sun, no moon, no stars, nothing. Only Allah. No place, no time, nothing. Only Allah. That's a proof from the Quran, that Allah, from the Hadith, that Allah exists without a place. That's one proof, one evidence. Is that clear? So you ask proof. I can do the proof. That's not my point right now. You need to understand first the subject. Now, when we talk about proof, you understand the subject. If you don't understand the subject, the proofs are going to do you no good, except add to your confusion, because you don't understand the subject. Is that clear? Don't be confused. I'm giving you the way out of your confusion, first of all. The answer, Allah exists without a place. Allah is not in heaven, right? Now, someone is telling you that Allah is above the throne, and that's his location, and that's where Allah is. So you have to do what? You have to understand why that's incorrect. No, 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 no. Let me correct it. We don't say he don't know where. There is nowhere. It cannot be attributed to Allah. Because when you say Allah exists and we just don't know where, that means where you keep ascribing to Allah a place, you just don't know the place. No, Allah does not exist in a place. I want you to understand what is being said. Whether you agree or not, that's not the point we're making right now. Do you understand what is being said? That's the point. See, we're so busy trying to make someone agree with us that they never even understand what you're talking about. That's why they might not agree, because they don't understand. Let's get you to understand first. And then once you understand, it's easy to agree or disagree when you understand. Do you understand what is being said? That's the point. They're not overstanding. Right? Because this is what happens. People will say, just believe in Allah. What does that mean, just believe in Allah? What are we supposed to believe about Allah? I remember coming up, the 5%ers, they thought they was Allah. They used to say Allah, arm, leg, arm, head. Wal-iyadu billah. Is that proper belief? Absolutely not. But they said we believe in Allah. They didn't know what to believe. So the obligation is to tell them. I'm telling you what to believe. Allah exists without a place. And the next question is why? Right? So here, that's the important point. And it's not complicated. It's only complicated because someone already confused you with a bad belief. That's what's the problem, right? It's not complicated. When you got a bad belief, it becomes complicated. So we got to correct the bad belief first. Now you understand the discussion, right? Is that clear? I got 3 minutes. Shoot your last questions. So for the correct belief in Islam is that Allah, in this issue, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists without a place and direction. He exists without a place and a direction before creating the place and direction, and he exists without a place and direction after creating the place and direction. Is that clear? Is that clear? That's the belief of Ahl Sunnah. That's the belief of the Ash'aris. That's the belief of the Maturidis. That is the belief that has been reached us by consensus. Right? By consensus. From the Quran, from the Sunnah, from scholarly consensus, that's the belief of Muslims. Right? So if that you just want an easy way out, that's your easy way out. Right? Without understanding the issue. Allah exists without a place, surrender. Okay, great. But that's not going to help you when you're confronted with someone telling you Allah is in heaven. It'll protect your belief, but you're not going to know what to say. So the point is, that's one issue. That's all we talked about is one issue, right? And now, what we'll have on the round table is we're going to clarify that issue with the proofs from the Quran and the Sunnah and the consensus, and that'll be one issue. And everyone among the Imams may not agree with that. Then they're going to express what they disagree with, right? And we'll answer that. But now we have a framework for the conversation. So the belief is Allah exists without a place. That's your summary for the one who's not. I just want to know what to believe correctly. That's the correct belief. I don't even need to know why. Okay, fine. Long as you have the correct belief. But the next step is that you understand why you believe that Allah exists without a place. That's it. Allah is not everywhere. Allah is not in a location. Allah doesn't indwell in his creation. Allah is not a part of his creation. Allah exists without a place. To the break of dawn. Any last questions? Can we get another 30 minutes to an hour of answering questions? All right, I'll give you 15 more minutes of answering questions. I'm only going to answer your questions. That's it. 15 minutes. Do I have permission to go 15 more minutes? All right, she said take a whole nother hour. No, I'm joking. No, 15 minutes of answering your question. All right, go ahead. First one. All right. So the term where, as we understand it, cannot be asked about Allah. Yes, that's the correct answer. The way you use where in our language and what we understand, right? At our level of understanding, because some people, their strength in the language, they would understand something totally different. So as we common people use where to indicate location and direction, that's not permissible to ask about Allah. That's the answer to that question, right? Go ahead. Huh? Hey, Khadija, assalamu alaikum. MashaAllah. Whatever you believe about Allah's existence is simple. Whatever you believe about Allah's existence is not. I didn't understand that line, but the next one, Allah cannot be attributed to any way, in any way, to time, place, beginning, ending. These are just examples. Yes. The second line, I don't know if that was a typo. So I didn't understand what you meant by the second line. Whatever you believe about Allah's existence is not. I got confused about that. So if you want to clarify what you meant by that. But the rest of it is correct. All right, that's a statement. Okay. Okay. The seeing of Allah by the believers in Jannah is still without a how or being in a place. Correct. That is correct. So here's the point. I don't want more. That's the basis of the belief that Allah exists without a place, right? All those questions, you're going to have hadith and verses of the Quran that you're going to misunderstand if you don't know the basis of the belief. So you're going to read the Quran and the hadith, and you're going to have a misunderstanding about Islam. Because you're supposed to learn belief before you learn the Quran and the Sunnah. You're supposed to learn what to believe first. The Prophet ﷺ taught his companions what to believe before he taught them the Quran. They knew what to believe. So when they read the Quran, they didn't get confused about what to believe. They already knew that. The problem is we go the opposite way. We get the Quran and Hadith without knowing what to believe. And then we misunderstand because we come in with our preconceived notions about the Creator, which were incorrect, which were corrupt in the beginning. Right. So when you use the term Allah is everywhere, what usually people mean is that by his knowledge. And this is valid, but we don't use the word everywhere. We say Allah knows everything with his knowledge. That Allah by his knowledge is aware of everything. But when we say everywhere, we're getting into location. But if what is understood from that expression is that Allah knows everything, it's okay. But it's not a valid expression to use. Okay. Okay, we got it. That's it? I thought y'all said y'all don't even got 15 minutes. Y'all don't even have 15 minutes of questions. That's it with the questions. We good? So everyone knows that Allah exists without a place. Good. So that's the belief of the Ash'aris and the Maturidis. And the Salafis, they don't accept such a belief. The Wahhabis don't accept. So that's why we differ. So there's one example. Right, exactly, Khadija, I follow you. You go ahead, involve the hadith if you want, and I'll give you examples in summary, and then we'll go into more details later. So Malika, you can ask the question, involve the hadith. Go ahead. If you understand what I said first, and then you can go ask the hadith. Go ahead. What does that got to do with the price of rice in China? Who is your teacher and what tariq are you on? What that got to do with the price of beans in China? Price of rice, right? Not beans. I don't know why I keep saying beans. It doesn't mean anything. What's the purpose of that question? What does it have to do with what we're talking about? I mean, and not a criticism, an honest question. What does that have to do with what we're talking about? What's the purpose? Is that value what I'm saying, right or wrong? Who my sheikh is, or who my teacher, or what tariqah I follow? What does it have to do with the issue? It's a question. It's not being sarcastic. Seriously, how does that relate to what I'm talking about? And why is it important to what I'm talking about? To the case I'm mentioning. Okay. Tayyib, you gave me a hadith. I'm going to help us. And you can say, I don't know. And then I'm going to send you on the research. You said, okay, the hadith that says Allah descends during the third of the night. Tayyib, question. Who related that hadith? Where did you get that from? I'm going to help us. So you can say, I don't know. And then I'm going to give you homework. So if you don't know, just say, I don't know. It's fine. Where did you get that hadith from? Tayyib, your homework is go find that hadith and tell me where it's at. Because maybe you're mistaken. Maybe that's not a hadith at all. Right? So go find the hadith and tell me where the hadith is. And then I'll answer your question. That's your homework. We're going to help each other, right? Because you said that's a hadith, right? And it's fine to say, I don't know. All right, now go find it. That's your homework. And then once you find the hadith, then we can have the discussion. You with me? You accept? You accept or no? Malika, do you accept, my sister? We're not going to be a bunch of parrots around here. We're not going to do that. We're going to help each other learn. Malika, do you accept? I accept. All right, go find the hadith. And every time you ask me for a hadith or a verse, I'm going to ask you the same question. So what you're going to say, this hadith is related by Imam so-and-so in his book so-and-so. And if you really want to be real correct, where at in the book? So we don't got to go searching, right? We're going to learn to research, right? So you're going to ask it like this. This is how I want you to go find it, right? You're going to say the hadith, I'm going to help you, is related or collected, you can say, by Imam. Just for instance, Imam Muslim. Just give you an example of how I want you to find the hadith. All right, there you go. And we're going to help each other. No microwave Islam, right? See y'all Googling and everything, copy and paste. MashaAllah, I love you. I love my people. So we ain't going to show us. We got Google. Cut, paste, copy, paste, go. Right? Microwave Islam. I love it. Right? Okay. Now, so you said Abu Hurairah reported, the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Our Lord descends to the lowest heaven. That's what they say, right? The last third of the night. And he says, who is calling upon me that I may answer him? Who is asking for me that I may forgive him? Who is seeking my forgiveness that I may forgive him? Source, Sahih Bukhari, 1094. Sahih Muslim, 758. Question, what is 1094 stand for, and what does 758 stand for? Sister Shamira and Sister Malika, since y'all put it up. Huh? What does 1094 stand for? 758 stand for? We're learning and we're having fun at the same time. Because I'm gonna help you, right? I'm gonna teach y'all how to learn and how to study and not just be a parrot. All of us, we're gonna do it together. I believe in my people. You didn't answer the question. I was helping her find it. That's the cop out. I love y'all. Hey, I was just helping. Hey, don't put me in that fire. No, let me stop. Y'all cool. I love y'all. Mashallah. Y'all my peoples. Number of one of the hadith in Sahih Bukhari book. Okay. Tayyib. Right? Did you check the books to make sure that's correct before you gave me that? Huh? Or you just relied on Google and what he said? Did you check to make sure that hadith is really there? I'm in the book right now. Which book are you in? We're together, so you know. My family gave me more time, so I'm going to help you, and I want you to do this every time you find a proof. So you're going to learn how to research within your ability. So you check the hadith. While you find that, Malika, make sure you checked it. Tell me what page, which edition. I'm going to help you research. We're going to do it together. She's going to find out. She's looking. I'm going to answer Bilal while we're doing that. وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. Right? So, which literally, if you translated it literally, we are closer to him than his jugular vein. Right? Do the Wahhabi scholars literally believe that Allah is closer to every human than their jugular vein? No. The Wahhabi scholars don't believe that. They're going to say that means by his knowledge. They don't believe that. So they don't believe Allah is close to the human like they believe Allah is in heaven above the throne. So they make ta'wil in that. They don't accept that literally, which is a whole nother discussion. But they don't believe that. And the one who says that is not following Wahhabi scholars. They don't say that. Where's my sister? She stopped researching? So, oh, she's looking? So they do ta'wil. Yes, they do ta'wil all the time. They say it's tafsir, it's not ta'wil. Okay, whatever. Because what you would normally say is that's my dalil. I'm not saying you, Malika. That's what people say. That's my dalil. It's not no dalil. You just cut and paste. You don't even know where you got it from. You don't even know if it's a lie. You don't even know if it's made up. You should go check to make sure. And then say, this is where it came from. Maybe the enemies of Islam was putting that up. She said, I'm done with helping. Y'all funny. Say it again. Whoa, Malika. Listen, we're studying and enjoying ourselves at the same time. I'm your brother. No one's being criticized. No one's being put down. We're learning in a fun way, right? We're learning our religion, and we're going to learn it in a fun way, where after a while, we're not going to make the same mistakes no more. So, right? You said, hey, yo, 1095, and this book does not say what Google says. Okay, problem. Houston, we got a problem. So, obviously, you shouldn't be relying on Google, right? So, you don't even know what you're reading. Now, you got to still go back and do the work. Find the hadith. That didn't help you. So, it's 194, not 195. So, go to 194. So, go find it. Where's the hadith? Because what we would normally say, this is my dalil, and this is from the hadith. Okay, where is it at? Show me. Show me where I can find it. We're going to do real research. We don't have nothing but time, right? There's no rush. Let's go find it. I'm teaching us a lesson for us, because one day we have to develop, listen, and I'm speaking specifically to all of us in general, but specifically to us African Americans. We got to stop being parrots for others. We have to know what we're doing. It's extremely important. It has cost us too much just blind following people, no matter who they are. We have to learn how to understand our deen ourselves. And let's stop letting people tell us, oh, this is too deep for you. It's only for the scholars. The scholars were just like you. They were human beings who didn't know. They studied, they learned, and they became scholars. So you got to study and learn so you can become learning. All right, so that's your homework. And sister, what's her name? Did you find it? You find the hadith? She said, look, I'm not helping. Sounds like Shamira. What's it, Shamira? Is that how you pronounce your name? I'm not helping no more. Y'all funny. I'm going to help. I'm getting you to do the work. I'm going to go do the work too. I don't know anything about www.sunnah.com. I don't rely on the website to learn my religion. I have the slightest idea. I actually go do real research. So I don't rely on the website for my stuff. I don't. I'm going to actually go to the original book and I'm going to find it. I'm going to find the hadith. And then and I want us all to start doing that. So as we see, you're relying on Google. It may be right. It may be wrong. We got to go check. Right? Now I'm with you, sis. Don't worry. I'm not doing it. I'm with you. I'm down. Trust me. Because we're going to help each other. And it's not about like us making each other look bad. None of that. No. We're going to help us know how to study and learn. That's it. Because what happens is when we don't do it, people can trick us all the time. Let me see. Oh no, you got the books over there for Sahih Bukhari. Once they find it, we can go look.
Oh, book 18, Hadith 14? That's what that means?
See if you can find it. I don't know which they put, but go look for it. Because you made the proof, right? You mentioned the hadith, so you got to show me where it's at. The proof's on you. I mean, I find it with ease. I'm just not in my library. And if you're not in your library, then you can just say, okay, I'll get back with you on that. It's fine. But at least we'll stop quoting from Google and we'll actually go look. because you don't know who's on the other side, right? You know from your side, you just put in who's shooting that information back to you. Are they trustworthy? Are they reliable? Did they fabricate? What is this hadith? I can't see it. Already Jabir ibn Abdullah, the Prophet ﷺ used to offer the nawafil while riding facing a direction other than the Qibla. حدثنا أبو نعيم قال حدثنا شيبان عن يحيى عن محمد بن عبد الرحمن أن جابر بن عبد الله أخبره أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يصلي التطوع وهو راكب في غير القبلة. What does that have to do with what we're talking about? They were talking about hadith and nuzul. All right. All right, that's the homework. We stop. Everyone go find a hadith and tell me exactly where it is and what book, what public. So did I put that up? So this is what I want you to do when you find this hadith. So that's our homework. All of us, we got homework to do.
I found her.
Which one?
The one that Kamira just put, but I didn't find Malika.
Right, so we ain't looking for the one she put.
Malika is saying reference, that the Bukhari reference that is in the English.
All right, we got to find the book. We got to find it. So this is what I want you to do. All right, this is our homework together. And watch, you're going to use this for everything you do in the future. So this is one lesson. So I want everyone who saw that hadith, together, we work together. I want us to go find the hadith in the original book. So if your original book to you is English, then the English book you're using of Sahih Muslim or Sahih Bukhari, right? Go find that hadith. Give me the location, the edition you're using, the publisher you're using, so that we can be on the same page, right? Because if you give a book, I might not have the same edition as you have, and the numbers may not match up, right? So you got to find exactly where you're getting it from so that we can check it, right? And match what we have in case there's differences, right? Because if you're going to use it as a proof, we got to make sure it's really a proof, right? You're using it as a proof. We should make sure it's a proof. And listen, this is not something that we normally would have to do, right? We wouldn't normally have to do this if we came with empty cups. But because our cups are runneth over, we got to have these kind of conversations, right? Because we're famous. I follow Quran and Sunnah. And here's my hadith proof. And you don't even know where you got it from. How is that a proof? You haven't even confirmed that that came from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Or what book? That's not a proof. That's one step. You don't even know where it's at. The second step, if you don't know where it's at, how are you properly understanding it? Are you sure you understood it right? Is the wording correct? Maybe you misunderstood. I'm going to take you through stages, and I'm going to show you what you took from that hadith is not a proof. I'm going to show you, but I want you to do the work. I don't want you to blind follow Imam Amin. No, I don't want you to blind follow nobody. We've been ruined by blind following people. Let's do our homework. You follow what I mean? Seriously. Because it's easy to blind follow, right? Let's stop that. Now let's go do our homework. And now people are going to respect you because they know when they talk to you, we're gonna and I don't want no one, right? I don't want no one to be afraid to say I don't know. It's fine. It's obligatory to say I don't know when you don't. I'll go check. I'll go research. I gotta look it up. I gotta review. It's fine. That doesn't make you a bad person. What makes you a bad person is when you don't know and you refuse to say you don't know. Say, I don't know. It's fine. Now I'll go research. I'll go look it up. I'll go check. Right? Imam Amin, Imam Naim, I don't know, and we know you don't know. Stop. I love my brothers. No, seriously. Because let me tell you the biggest thing the Salafis do to us. They work on our ignorance. That's it. We don't know. And we don't know we don't know. So therefore, it's easy for someone to manipulate you. I don't want you to be like that. I don't want us to be like that because it's bigger than us. We got our children coming behind us. We got futures of generations of Muslims that we got to raise up. So we got to build it up, right? And I know for sure there's a default position all the time. Default Wahhabism all the time. So we don't talk about the issue, keep you ignorant, and give you a belief that's not acceptable. Look, we're not accepting that no more. Absolutely not. If we're wrong, we're going to say we're wrong. If we're mistaken, we're going to say we're mistaken. If we don't know, we're going to say, I don't know. But no more faking jacks, as they say in the streets. You know what I mean? No more faking jacks. I don't know. Let me go learn. Because when we faking it, we're hurting the next generation. I don't know. It's fine. I don't know. Nothing wrong with that. Now go learn. Now you don't know, you need to go learn. You can't just say, I don't know, and that's it. La, I don't know, and then I need to learn. Talibul ilmi faridatun ala kulli Muslim. And guess what? After time, that's going to become second nature to you, right? It doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you don't know, and you need to go learn to make sure you're right. Doesn't mean you're wrong. Doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means you don't know and you're not sure. So we want to make sure you're sure. And that hadith is going to open up a whole world of hadith studies for you. That one hadith. When you bring that hadith, and then I start to give you other hadith related to that hadith, and then what the scholar said about that hadith that you would never be exposed to from them, you're going to be surprised. So bring the hadith. I have no problem with it. And don't worry, if you can't find it, then just tell me, and I'm going to go do the homework for you. I have no problem with it. And I'm going to explain to you, there's not a hadith of the Prophet that exists that we can't find. Did you hear what I said? There's not a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that exists that we can't find that we know about. With all of our teachers and references and researchers, if we don't find the hadith, that hadith don't exist. It's not in the books. There is none of the books that are the major books of hadith that between us, our students, our teachers, our researchers, that we won't find the hadith. Not one. So don't think that we're empty. No, we're going to find it. And we're going to find what the scholar said about that hadith. And where are the proofs of that hadith. So we're going to move that to another level. And it ain't us. It's just what we need to do to preserve our religion. Right? All right. So Wafia went in her big, huge, extensive library and she didn't find the hadith. MashaAllah. That's my sister. All right, keep searching. The hadith does exist. It's a real hadith, but I want y'all to find out where it's at. That's the homework. All right, let's close up with that. Inshallah. We got a long way to go. Don't worry. We're going to do it. I told you we're going to do this till we die, so it don't matter. And I'm going to go do the research too. So we're all going to do it, right? What I posted was showing that the hadith where it says descending in reference to Allah is not in Sahih al-Bukhari. Okay. Oh, I see what you were saying. All right, let's go find the hadith. I know where the hadith is. I want you to do your work, and I'm going to do my work, and we're going to bring it all together. And then we all did something together, and we're going to do that for everything so that we, as we study, we just have classes just for that. How about that? Would y'all like that? Whenever we got a hadith, we're just going to spend our time in some classes, make special sessions where we're going to find all of our evidences, right? That would be a nice project, right? Wouldn't y'all enjoy that? Would you enjoy it or no? Or as I'm just some nerd. This guy just wants some help being a nerd. No, stop. MashaAllah. I want to help us, seriously. We can't do another 40 years of misguidance. We can't. Seriously. Our people can't take it. We don't got it in us no more. We got work to do. All right, so let's seal this up so we understand. What was the point of our discussion? Because we went into some extra stuff in these extra 30 minutes. What was the point of this discussion? So fill me in. What was the point of the discussion? Because I didn't want to lose you. This is not to confuse you. What was the point of the discussion? It is 10:30 at night on the East Coast, but people are all over the place, so it's different times. Some people are out west. Okay. All right, Muti, one point that Allah exists without a place. That's one point. Malika. The second thing was the difference between the Aqidah of the Ash'aris, Mubtadi, La ilaha illallah, Maturidis, Salafi and Wahhabis. Not Mubtadi, Maturidis. So Ash'ari and Maturidi. Right? All right. Go ahead. It's 4:30 in the morning, man. Oh, you getting ready? You doing tahajjud, right? That's why you up so late. MashaAllah. Jazakumullahu khaira. Glad you can join us from Denmark. Denmark, he said? MashaAllah. Denmark. May Allah reward you. All right, that's Asharim. Imam Boombat. The importance of clarifying the proper Aqidah and the importance of discussing it. Okay. The difference between the Ash'aris and Salafi, right? All right, that's good, Sister Jamila. To learn to say, I don't know if you don't know. To learn how to research, number 2, okay? And to learn that Allah exists without a place. All right, good, mashallah. Okay, y'all got it. All right, so so that's step 1. What is our homework? And when we close out, what's our homework? All of us got to share in the homework, got to help each other. What's our homework? Now you know why I scatter thoughts. See, I'm just loose, chilling, relaxing. To learn not to challenge the teacher. No one was challenging me. We studying. We reviewing in our own way, in our own comfort. The difference between correct and... What's the homework? Come on, y'all help me out. Find which hadith. Said find the hadith. Wafiya, what hadith? There's tens of thousands of hadith. And we shouldn't use the word descending. That's a bad translation. However, it has a literal meaning in the Arabic language. Yanzilu means, if you look at it literally, it means to descend. But nuzul, the term descent, to attribute to Allah in the literal sense is not befitting. So we shouldn't say descending or coming down and moving, because that doesn't relate to Allah. But that's another discussion. But that's what you're going to find in your English translations. So in Arabic is yanzilu, right? So that's your homework. Let's go find it. And inshallah, if you find it by the post-Fajr reflection, you can share it with me. And just hold it till we meet up again. You can bring it to the Imam's Roundtable, because today's Friday. And maybe if I get another time, I'll come back. Maybe tomorrow, Sunday, if I get, and to Monday, maybe tomorrow and Sunday, so we can find those hadith. Let's do this. Tomorrow, I'll make a time. I don't know what time. I don't know if it's going to be 9 o'clock. If I get clear, I can do 9 just to show the hadith, right? Let's just do that. Is that acceptable, you think? All right. So I can't infringe on my family time as well. So I got an agreement. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock, we're going to just come back for 1/2 of an hour, right? No more than 45 minutes. And we're going to bring what we found of the hadith. So you got all day to tomorrow night to find the hadith. It's called Hadith al-Nuzul, right? I'll put it in Arabic and English. Where's my Arabic? Okay. In Arabic. So this is our research project. Right? Okay. That is in Arabic, Hadith al-Nuzul. In English, you just say Hadith al-Nuzul. Right? That's in Arabic. I'm still typing in Arabic. Right? There's your homework. This is not traditional studies. You know this, right? This is our stuff, right? But we need to do our stuff. So we'll learn to do traditional studies one day. We got to go through the... So Hadith and Nuzul. So there's Arabic and English. So find the Hadith, right? So don't say Hadith of descent. Say Hadith and Nuzul. And then we're going to talk about Nuzul. Right? All right. Barakallahu bikum. Imam Naeem, Imam Fahim, as they say in the boxing world, let's get ready to rumble. I'm messing with y'all. Oh, la ilaha, you guys are funny. All right, I love y'all. Inshallah, I'll see you tomorrow morning for the reading and Kitab al-Adhkar at 6:15, 6:20, because Fajr, and the post-Fajr reflections at 7 o'clock, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khaira, wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. And this is not advanced theology. This is learning basic Aqidah, basic manners of researching hadith, basic adab in learning. Stop talking about stuff you don't know. Learn first. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.